In part 2 of Adaptation with Rachel Yoder, Rachel discusses how nature documentaries and performance art informed her script for Nightbitch, and the most surreal moment of her life, visiting set.
I do think you have to be sort of delusional to make it as a writer. You have to be in touch with the dream.
What were some of the things that you would say really helped you turn your novel into a screenplay that you felt were really valuable?
Well, I first want to say adapting the novel into the screenplay will undoubtedly be the hardest thing I have ever done, as I did it during a global pandemic with my child at home. I had literally just finished edits on the novel when I then stepped in to adapting it. The adaptation was done before the novel was published.
Wow.
So imagine working on a novel intensely for 4 years. You close it and you open another project in which you have to take that material, which feels you're so done with. It's so used up. And you now have to translate it into a different medium and make it feel exciting and fresh. I didn't have a process. I didn't even know how to think about adapting something. I knew how to write an original idea and develop that. But how do I take something I've already been thinking about and images I've already been working with and repurpose them for a script? So I really found myself feeling like such a beginner and just like, okay, square one, what do I do? Um, and I did the thing beginners do. I just like read what other people do when they adapt, right? And like listen to Philip Nagy talk about adapting Carol and just like going through, okay, well, maybe something like this, maybe what they do will help me. And then I realized, okay, so I have these sort of ideas for just like at the desk process. But then I also didn't have a dream world. Like I had dreamed this world of Night Bitch, but I needed like an imagistic dream world for the film that felt new, vibrant. And I thought, okay, well, if Night Bitch is the main character, what are the images that animate her work or that animate her life? And so I took a real deep dive into like feminist performance art and dance. I got into like Pina Bausch. I got into Martha Rosler, Semiotics of the Kitchen from the 70s, and Carolee Schneeman, and Maria Abramowitsch and Louise Bourgeois, like just went deep into other artists. And that's where things started taking off. I'm like, oh, okay. The film can be actually drawing from feminist art and it can be referencing this performance art, and I can bring performance art into this script. And so then I needed a sort of concept or hook to hold it all. Like, what am I going to tell Annapurna when I have the call and they're like, "What are you doing? So what's your angle? What's your pitch?" You know? And so I came up with this form or this concept to hold it all, which is, what if you made a documentary, like a wildlife documentary about humans? And that was sort of the kind of high concept um, premise or form for the movie. And it had a narrator, kind of like a Planet Earth narrator, that turned out to be Wanda White at the end, who is the sort of Night Bitch's mythical godmother in the book. And I just, clawed my way through a draft of it and through many, many failed attempts. And taking these kind of very high concepts and shoving them into, my beats and the form, and trying to hit both of those. So it was really, really hard, and it has now given me the confidence where I'm like, nothing is going to be that hard. And so here we go. Let's get to work.
I love that. Animal Planet for Humans concept,
Yeah.
um, because I think the physicality is so important in your book and in the film, and especially when you're translating something to film, right? That it's like it has to be so much more physical than interior. And
And
it,
about art, like about art being able to kind of communicate our experience better than even like conventional storytelling.
yeah, yeah. Why does a song make you cry, 15 seconds in,
Yeah.
when saying those words in a song to somebody wouldn't have that same effect? Um, or even it made me think of the physical. My last book was about sports, about skateboarding,
Yeah.
and I had never ever in my life thought I would write anything about that, or be anything about sports, and knew nothing about sports. So I did a ton of research about sports and read a ton of sports books and studied how you write about sports in a way that conveys the action, um, like that you can see it, that is beautiful, that you can hear it, that you can smell it. And so I just love, to me, that was the biggest learning curve. And the thing that thrilled me the most about writing it, to a large degree, was learning how to communicate physicality on the page through sound and just describing the way
Mm.
somebody's body moves.
I feel like the queen of that is Carrie Howley, who is a writer for New York Magazine and also a screenwriter. And she wrote this amazing book called Throne, which is about MMA, and the kind of having an ecstatic experience of MMA, and just has these like gorgeous passages, right, of bodies like coiling over each other. And so, yeah, I'm with you.
What are some of the ways that the script that you wrote and the script that Marielle, how do you pronounce her name?
Marielle Heller,
Marielle.
yeah.
Um, what are like some of the main big differences in those two scripts?
Well, I think Mari's vision is a much more accessible vision for the adaptation of the book, and much more narratively driven, character driven, focused on motherhood and domestic life. Um,
So in every way, it's different.
to be clear, I love the movie. The moments I really loved, of course, because I would love them, is when it does go sort of fairy tale or supernatural, and we kind of wander into a world adjacent to the real world. And she uses those to punctuate the movie really beautifully. Um, and those stand beside a very kind of real world, down in the trenches exploration of motherhood and marriage.
You write your version of the script, and then Amy was already
She was already, yeah, on the
involved.
project.
And then Marielle came on, and how involved were you in the process after that? Like, was she showing you drafts? Were you kept informed of further casting, or how much were you involved in the rest of the adaptation process?
Yeah, I mean, Mari was very open and very generous and did show me the script pretty early on, and asked for, any feedback I would have, any comments. And I also made a decision. I don't know if it was really a decision or just sheer exhaustion, but, after I had written the script and then Mari came on, in some ways it was a relief. Because I had to promote the book. I had things to do, and had also worked the material to death. And so she came on, she said, I had a vision, I have this beautiful script, which I read, and I was like, beautiful, immaculate, no notes, like, and I just made the decision, like, this is her project. And I am so grateful that someone of her caliber and her talents is interested and inspired by this thing I wrote and now is going to go and make her own art. And so it felt like a real natural and pretty easy handoff. It became her project. And that felt right, just as the book now doesn't really feel like it's entirely mine. It feels like it's the reader's. And it's become something like a lot further away from me than it used to be.
Um, Tell me about visiting set. What I mean, because it's kind of uh uh I don't know, is it autofiction? I'm not even sure like what constitutes autofiction, but
Deborah, it was insane to visit set. I had a moment. So when we got there, they said, do you want to have a cameo? And I was like, yes,
oh
we want
my
to have a
God.
cameo.
Wait, who
So
did you go with? Were you with your
I went
husband?
with my husband and son, and they wanted me and my son to be in this scene. And the scene was a very autobiographical scene. So when my son was little, I used to take him downtown and we would go to this place called the Bread Market and it had this buffet of food and we would get all the food and we'd sit down, we eat outside and there are people all around. So I write that into the book. Mari takes that and puts it in the movie. So then I'm on set with my now grown-up son watching as Amy Adams pretends to be Nightbitch, who is sort of me from a real life scene. She pretends to be ravenously eating her food, and then I have to react to her in a film. And it was the most surreal moment of my life, which I still can't quite wrap my head around. But just to be like, how has this come to, like, what have I started? Like, like what have I set loose in the universe? There is something very, um, very strange going on. So yeah, I mean, it was exciting, exhilarating, eye-opening, and way more emotional than I thought it would be, right? To see this thing that's come out of your own life, then be actually animated by other people and to watch it happening in front of you and then become part of that animation. Um, it was really intense. There's been like a lot. Night Bitch is an intense story and an intense book, and I think I mean, I like intensity. I'm also an intense person, but there's a lot of intensity that's also come in its wake. So, yeah, it was wild.
It gives me chills just hearing you talk about that. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true. Like that, like that to the degree that I can understand that overwhelming feeling of having created something that then, like you said, is not even yours anymore to a degree, right? Everybody else is either portraying somebody in it or commenting on it or reading passages from it. And so, it's so weird, for lack of a better word.
It is weird. And then also to have other people so intensely identify with the story and to sort of, have people's darkness like brought to me time and again, which I'm very honored, but it's also it can be really overwhelming, like I'm so glad you feel seen and I see you're having an intense experience and I get it and oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, um, I was put in touch with you by my bandmate, Jamie Jackson, who
Yes.
had that reaction to your book and had reached out to you, and I didn't realize that till afterwards because I had read your book and loved it, but I didn't have that, like I said, I don't have a child, so I didn't have like those kind of experiences, but I remember her just saying that she just had to tell you, she just had to DM you and tell you. And so I didn't even think about that, about how she's not the only one, and that's such a I don't know if the word is a burden, but that's a lot of psychic energy to take in.
It's a lot of, I've never considered it a burden, but I have had to figure out, what to do with that sort of psychic energy coming at me a lot. What I do with it, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
So, where were you when you saw the completed film for the first time, and who were you with?
I was in my basement with my husband, um, and we watched it together, and it's the only experience I've probably had of watching a film and after it's done, having absolutely no idea how I feel about it. You know, like I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to this. And just like sitting inside that for a very long time. The movie was supposed to come out a year, it was set to come out a year before it did, and then got delayed because of the writer's strike,
Oh, right.
and the actor's strike.
Just another barricade.
And yeah, and so Mari did another cut in that year, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cut. Like there were some, like the whole beginning changed. And I it's interesting to think that it would have been a different movie, a different cut if we hadn't had that delay. It's cool to see, yeah, like if you have more time, you just like keep improving it, keep changing it.
I mean, it can go the other way, right? You can overwork
That's true. That's true. You
it.
could make it worse.
That, yeah, that I think is more common than the other. So given this whole experience, from book to writing the script to then having the film adapted, the world seeing it, would you be excited to do that again with your next book? And are you writing a next book? Two-part question.
Okay. Answer to the second part. Yes, I'm writing a next book. Very, very early stages. I guess I have not even thought if I would want to adapt it. I mean, I think it does lend itself to the screen. I think it would be fun probably to adapt it, but once we get to the end of the novel, we'll see. I mean, it's so early on. I have, since Nightbitch, adapted a short story I didn't write and found it to be a great a great process. Taking someone else's ideas and morphing them into a script, I think is really fun. And I'm also working on an original script. So yeah, I mean, I'm up for whatever now. I feel like I'm on the brink of 47. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get busy. I'm ready to work. So yeah, it's Nightbitch really changed my life in every conceivable way. And for that I'm really grateful.
Wow, it kind of sounds like you manifested, because maybe this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but the end of the book, there's just this incredible conceptual art piece that she creates that blends her life and her art. And it just sounds like you manifested that, like you cracked open this whole script writing and now original scripts or adaptations, or sounds like, essays, novels, it's kind of boundless for you.
I mean, I feel like Nightbitch is really coming through for me.
Wow, may we all have a night bitch in a
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking. It's inspiring and enlightening in light of the lack of transparency in all of these industries, to just hear other people's stories and to understand, like, it doesn't all just happen by magic.
It doesn't. And I think everyone can notch up at least one notch in terms of your own confidence because no one knows what they're doing. And we're all just making it up as we go along. And you should always ask for what you want. Even if it's someone says it's not standard or that's not the way things work, that's not true. No one knows how things work, especially when they're making films. So just be really straightforward with what you want, notch up the confidence, and go for it.
Rachel, I'm going to put you on speed dial for any time I have,
Okay, all
I
right.
have any
Hit me up.
doubts or fears. Um, Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Adaptation. Come back next week when we talk to producer Stephen Neiman about adapting Johnny Rotten's story, Elephant Man, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.